For the first time in the Division I era and the first time since 1991, the Wofford Terriers are off to a 4-0 start. They are 2-0 in the Southern Conference, and we welcome you in to Inside Wofford Football. Mark Hauser along with the coach. Terriers coming off a nice win at Elon this past Saturday, beating the Phoenix 49-24, and I know it's a team effort, Coach, but you had one guy, Eric Breitenstein, just have one of those special days.
He really did. 326 yards. Just a great player. I think there's been a lot of folks that have seen him play, but that game last Saturday was really special. He did some things, especially as wet as it was on a slippery field, that still amazed me. First play that he broke off, I think it was like 90 yards or something like that. And his best runs are always when there's like 3 or 4 people hitting him at the same time, and he's kind of like one of those pinballs, that bouncing all over the place, and then all of a sudden he pops out. And offensive line did a great job of establishing the line of scrimmage, and we did a good job as far as blocking at the second level. Our receivers were able to get down and get some guys at the third level, which created some real big plays for us in the run game.
So with the victory now, you're the only team in the SoCon that's unbeaten, but you like to say it's the Burma Road or the hill gets steeper. Elon was quite a test, and now we look ahead to a Furman team that's won 2 in a row. Furman
is an outstanding football team. Right now, quite frankly, they should have one loss, and that would be Clemson. But they have really come on. They have a freshman quarterback that is come in as a replacement. Dakota Derrick, I think, had an injury, and he came in for Dakota, and they haven't missed a beat. He's very accurate. He plays within the scheme. They have a experienced offensive line. They have outstanding running backs, and they've got quality receivers. They've got a pro-style tight end, young man that can get down the field. He can stretch you in 2 deep, and he has great hands. Last year we had a situation, it was a 3rd and long situation, and they run a route, and we've got him bracketed. We got him inside, we got him outside, and he's running right to our outside guy, and the ball's thrown. I think it's going out of bounds, and all of a sudden he's jumping up there, and he's making a catch between 2 of our guys. And last year was one of those years where they made the plays and we didn't. Last year was a year where they said, we're coming at you. It's not going to be any gimmicks, any tricks. We're going to come off the football and see if you can stop us. And we had difficulties doing that, and then from an offensive standpoint, we weren't consistent. We had way too many penalties, and that created problems for us as far as being able to move the sticks and score points. This year, what we've got to do, and you've got to do it every week. You've got to win the kicking game. You got to stay away from turnovers, and you got to stop the run on defense. And that was one thing last week at Elon. We stopped the run. We didn't allow them to run.
Right.
And they were forced to being one-handed, throwing the ball all over the place. They had some yardage, but at the same time, it comes down to us being able to just have one more than they have on the scoreboard to win. And we were just looking for a win. We didn't care whether it was 500 yards of offense or 150 as long as we won the football game. And we had really 3 guys that kind of people would probably not notice a whole lot. The first was Casey Redfern, our place kicker, and our punter. He had a fabulous day. He kicked, I think, all but one went into the end zone, and they didn't return it. One was a bloop kick, so I'm not counting that one. But he was really rocking and driving the football and did a great job, which created a 75-yard field for those guys every time that they teed it up, which really helped. And then Christian Reed had a great day, made every PAT and Paul Inclin did a great job as far as taking the snaps and getting it down. And a lot of times, the only time that you notice your kicking game is when it goes wrong.
Especially the holder.
Right, right. And hats off to those guys. We've had that's the third game now that we've had in a real wet field and pouring rain, and the guys really responded.
Also, our listener question of the night comes from Don from Inman, and Don wants to know, obviously Eric Breitenstein has had a fantastic career for you. And he plays a different position than Sean Graves did, who ran for over 5,000 yards when he was a quarterback here. But Don wants to know, what's the difference? What was the difference between coaching Sean and coaching Eric?
Well, Sean was the guy that pulled the trigger for you being at the quarterback position. He was one of those guys that when he came to Wofford, I think he weighed like 142 pounds. And he was a guy that just believed that it didn't matter. He could make a play. And he was our go-to guy. He was a guy that once he hit a crease, he very rarely ever was run down. And you look at his yardage, and there's no doubt that that was an unbelievable accomplishment. The interesting thing, I think, when you look at our fullback position, we're in the triple option, and it's a situation where there's a lot of times when we're running the option that it's a read play, and the fullback may get it or may not get it. And the thing that would be interesting would be if he ran the football, and physically he probably couldn't run it 70 times in a row, but he'd probably not turn that down if we asked him to do it. But he's just he's a guy that's made the most with his talent and with his abilities, and he's a guy that loves the game, appreciates the game. And he knows that the game is something special. It's a blessing, and he does everything that he can do every day to make it be the best day for him and for our team.
Now, you mentioned, we talked about this a little at lunch today. I asked you, how good a teacher is he? Because you coach fullbacks, and you said, well, I coach fullbacks, but really Eric kind of coaches the fullback core. And I asked you if he's a good teacher, and you said he is.
Yes.
Because some guys who are very talented are not good teachers. They just do it.
Right, exactly. But he has a great knowledge of the position, the nuances of the position, and then there's things that occur in there that, quite frankly, you can't put on a chalkboard. You've got to show the film and then kind of work through the process. And he's a guy that he'll have one of those Breitenstein moments, and then I'll run the film back and I'll say, hey, walk us through this. What are you seeing? What are you thinking? And all this, and he'll just coach it out there, and boom, we'll run it, and then all of a sudden there'll be another one. So does a great job in the film room, does a great job on the field, and he's not in any way pushing it on anybody or anything like that, but he's a guy that wants those guys that are behind him to be ready to go, and guys that are behind him, he wants those guys to have a great moment as well.
Tell us a little about both Caleb Lucas and Johnny Martin, who back him up at the position. I know Caleb's a junior, came over from Navy. Johnny's a redshirt freshman, but what are their skill sets?
Well, you've got Caleb and you've got Johnny, and then you've got Brody Hingst, and all three of those guys have kind of been the guys that have come in later. And Caleb was one of those guys. He's pretty good size, youngin'. Probably 210, 215, something like that. Real quick feet, and has a burst. I mean, he can run. One of the fastest guys that we had, time the 40 in the spring. Johnny's one of those guys, smaller, kind of a slasher type of guy. And last spring in spring ball, he did a nice job. caught a crease on a backside opening, and he was able to get through it and run with it and run away. And then Brody's one of those guys that when you tell him something, you better make sure it's right, because that guy, he catalogs it, and he's going to make sure he does everything he can do to be the player that you want him to be. And if you tell him to, okay, on this particular play, we're going to take a 45-degree step, we're going to tack inside to outside hip, yada, 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 and you keep going on, he'll do his best to give it back to you. And smart kid, all of them are smart kids. All of them are guys that are getting it. They're not quite at the level that Eric's at, but for most of them, they're just starting out. So it's a good crew, good group of guys to work with, and what I try to do every day is just not mess them up.
Yeah, you just stay out of the way.
That's about it.
All right, we're visiting with Coach Mike Ayers here on Inside Wofford Football. All right, Coach, Furman this week. Last year in Greenville, I'll say this. My personal sense walking out of that ball game was, for the first time in a while, Wofford simply got manhandled by a team. And it hasn't happened often over the years, and I'd imagine those are the kind of losses that really sting a team like the Terriers, who pride themselves on being physical.
Well, that's about it. I think they took it right at us, and they didn't do anything but old school football, and they did a great job of being able to move the sticks. They caused us some issues, and then all of a sudden you try to add another guy to the box, and they have a nice play action passing package, and they've got quality receivers, and we didn't do a good enough job offensively. We had definitely some issues there. If we'd been better offensively, we may have been able to make things a little bit easier on the defense. But they jumped out and got on top, and they were playing kind of our football. Yeah. We like to, once we get out there, we like to take care of the ball, keep moving the clock, move the sticks, and hopefully get up 2 scores on you and play great defense. And they did a great job. Bruce did a great job. His staff did a great job. Their kids, they played hard. They got after us, and they're a physical crew. Believe me, you don't want to be standing around over when you're playing those guys. They'll come up and they'll put you on your back.
Furman last year did a better job shutting down Wofford's running game than anybody the Terriers played all year long, including Clemson. Was there anything they did scheme-wise that it was different from some of the other defenses you saw?
No, not really. I think the big change occurred, quite frankly. We just didn't block the perimeter as well as we needed to, and that created some problems for us. We had some situations where pressure created some problems in the throwing game. They got on top. We got a little antsy and maybe tried to get it back too quick. And all of a sudden you've got a penalty here. You got a penalty there. Yeah, gosh, we got a pick. Now they got the ball back. Now, okay, it's 3rd and medium. Okay, they convert. Clock's still moving, change is still moving, and it was difficult. It was difficult, but hopefully we've learned from it. I know that as a football team, they're better than they were last year. I know schematically they're sound as a dollar. Got a great deal of respect for the way they coach, the X's and the O's, and the people that are coaching. They do a great job. So.
Right. Gerodis Williams ran for 239 in the win over Western. I know Eric had a great day, but so did he. He also returned a kick 100 yards for a score.
Right.
And I do recall him from last year being a bruising back.
He is.
But what makes him special to you?
Well, he's a guy that he's stout. He's a strong guy. He's a slasher. Plus, he'll drop that shoulder on you, roll those hips, and run right over you. And he's a tough guy. I mean, I've seen him hit again, and, you know, he'll answer the bell every time. And you look at fullback. They've got a fullback who will throw it up in there and create space for him. You got offensive linemen that do a great job. They're very well schooled, and it's one of those situations where when you're guessing, is it a run or is this a pass down? Sometimes you're not playing it as physical as you need to. You're thinking more get vertical, get up the field, let's get off this block, and all of a sudden you're getting tilted and turning, and they're running an ISO lead play right at you. So it can be frustrating. He's definitely got speed, and Furman for years and years, and gosh, I've been playing against Furman for 30-some plus years, and they've always had that guy that could tote the rock at the tailback position, and they're more like Furman used to be probably back when I can remember when we first played them. Tight end, flanker, split in, two backs in the backfield, and here we come. Option plays, probably belly option, and with the quarterback that they have now, they can run some option because he's a talented player. Yeah,
you brought up Reese Hannon. He's from Greer High School, so he's local. You recruited him, so obviously you thought he had the ability to play option quarterback. He's taken over for Dakota Derrick. What's his skill set, and what have you seen on tape out of him?
I think he's an excellent player. Probably the thing that really shocks me is how composed he is and refined that he is for being just a first-year guy. He understands what he needs to do, and he does it extremely well. I was looking today at him and their throwing game, and when you look at his throwing mechanics, when you look at his steps, he's good. He's really good, and he has a quality arm. He can make the throws, whether it's a 20-yard seam route, whether it's a 15-yard out from one hash to the wide field, or he can run that skinny post, and he can throw that thing as well. So they're a tough football team.
Should be quite a challenge. Should be a pretty good atmosphere in here too on Saturday.
I hope so. I hope it's stacked, packed, and sacked. We gotta have some noise here.
1:30 kickoff. We'll have the broadcast on the Wofford IMG Network starting at 1 o'clock.